Hey there mini wargamers, welcome to Seasick Pirate Studios. My name is Curtis and in this video we're going to be looking at the brand new Kruelboyz from the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Dominion box set. Emboldened by the arrival of Kragnos and eager to spread beyond the borders of their ancestral swamps, the Kruelboyz are a vicious, cunning breed of orcs who enjoy nothing more than laying their enemies low with the sneakiest, most underhanded tactics they can devise. The Kruelboyz are a brand new faction to the realm of Sigmar. When the images for these sneaky orcs were released, I couldn't wait to get my hands on the Dominion box set for the models. The hobgrots alone are so cool and look so menacing. All the parts are push fit, so you don't need glue to build these minis, but I strongly recommend using glue as you don't want to lose the parts further on down the line. Also, there's something about Games Workshop that when they make push fit models, the pegs sometimes don't necessarily line up with the holes, or the pegs can be a bit too long. This causes gaps and makes assembly a nightmare. So I recommend trimming them down or even removing the pegs to avoid gaps and ensure the pieces sit flush. Within the Dominion box set, you will get for the Kruelboyz one killer boss on Great Gnashtooth, one Merc Knob with Belcher Banner, one Swamp Colour Shaman with Potgrot, 3 Manskewer Bolt Boys, 10 Gut Rippers, and 20 Hobgrot Slitters. So let's have a closer look at these Kruelboyz and get down to rating the kits. Here we have the killer boss on Great Gnashtooth. This guy and his horrific steed are a fantastic centerpiece to a Kruelboyz army. The mini is beefy and is absolutely crammed with awesome details. You can tell this guy is no slouch in combat as he's got bits of his enemies hanging off his shield and he's got an ogre's head mounted on a pike on his back, really giving meaning to the phrase, "I is biggest, I's the boss." This model comes in 14 separate parts and goes together nicely, but there are a few noticeable gaps, but that is nothing some modelling putty can't fix. When it comes to mould lines, there are a few, but nothing really to write home about. All in all, I rate this awesome model a solid 9 out of 10. The pose is nice and the scenic base really fits with where these guys are from, and the model heading your army will turn lots of heads. Even for Kruelboyz, Swamp Colour Shamans are foul creatures. These spellflingers have an innate connection to the mires they inhabit, which they channel into noisome spells of debilitation while brewing up vile elixirs to aid their green-skinned kin. These miniatures come in 13 different parts and fit quite nicely, although some trimming down of the slaughter pegs is needed for the skull on the back. I adore these models. The flowing robes, the potion bottles, his pointy staff, and the giant skull on his back make this model a standout in any Kruelboyz army. Personally, I can't wait to get some paint on this guy. Even his spoon-wielding Potgrot is crammed with details, and his homemade spice rack on his back contains all a shaman needs to concoct horrible medicines for the boys. I'm going to rate this mini a max score of 10 out of 10. Great details, lots of character, and a comedic Potgrot, but for me, the skull on the shaman's back makes this model a painter's dream. Killer bosses are the warlords of the Kruelboyz, scrapping their way up the chain of command, quite literally. These hardened warriors, along with their little stabgrot mates, are among the most cunning of the Kruelboyz, stopping at nothing to slay their enemies. These miniatures come in 11 different parts and are simple and straightforward to put together. The killer boss can either be assembled with a mace or a shield, and the stabgrot fits nice and flush. Wielding a big axe and a mace, this lad means business. Standing on the corpse of shiny lightning boys, this guy stands out above the rest of his Auric kin. The Kruelboyz really do come well sculpted. The Stabgrot looks like he's come straight out of Jim Henson's The Labyrinth, which makes me love these models even more. I'm going to give these models a rating of 8 out of 10. Not as unique as others in command, but a great pose, great weapons. You can either have a mace or a shield with his ugly mug on it. This guy and his Stabgrot will do the job for you in combat. Merknobs are champion warriors among the Kruelboyz, and they revel in taking the heads of their adversaries. This mini again is a standout in the force. A brutish looking Orruk with the head of his enemies hanging off his banner, his belt, and anywhere else he can fit them. Even with a banner in one hand, he is more than capable of cutting anyone down foolish enough to face him. This miniature comes in 7 parts and is very simple to assemble. The banner is quite fragile, so take care when building. I'm going to give this mini a rating of 8 out of 10. Looks great, amazing pose, easy to put together, and all the details make this mini a great challenge to paint. Gut Rippers form the heart of the Kruelboyz. These mobs of spear-wielding greenskins are known for their love for a scrap, and the spiteful amusement they find in laying low their enemies with their wicked poisoned weapons. These miniatures come in a varied number of pieces between 4 to 6 each. Assembly wasn't as straightforward as I thought it would be, but I found trimming off all the slaughter pegs made the minis fit together a lot better. These lads are amazing, by far some of the best Uruk infantry Games Workshop have made for a while. Wielding shields that represent their ugly, frightening faces, these models will be lots of fun to paint for pros and beginners alike. All said, these minis are getting a rating of 8 out of 10. Fun to paint and not overly complicated models, these models will look great all dirty and battle worn. These malicious little brutes delight in outnumbering their foes and shanking everything that moves. Armed with their slitter knives, these hobgrots are no pushover in a fight. These pesky critters come in at 3 separate parts and are simple to assemble. The banner bearers, drummer and hornblower come in at 4 to 5 parts each. Games Workshop has knocked these models out the park, and I love everything about these minis, and like I mentioned earlier, they remind me of the Goblin King's minions from Tim Burton's Labyrinth. So if you're into your cult classics, these models will definitely catch your eye. I'm going to give this kit a rating of 9 out of 10. If I could field a whole army of these guys, I probably would. Big in numbers, lots of character, and just fun to look at. These minis do not disappoint. Punching your foes in combat alone isn't enough to win a fight, even if you're an Uruk. Man-skewer bolt boys take aim at their foes with deadly precision. Their poison bolts able to take down most in a single shot. But be warned, if the bolt doesn't kill you, the poison left in your bloodstream definitely will. These crossbow wielding Oryx are nicely detailed and well posed. Their crossbows look amazing. Even if their enemies get past a flurry of bolts, these lads look like they can handle themselves in combat with the blades craftily set into the front of the bow. These minis come in 4 separate parts and are simple to put together. The bowstrings are very fragile, so take care when clipping them off the sprue to avoid snapping them. I'm going to rate these minis with a 7 out of 10. Great poses, awesome looking crossbows, but personally, I don't see the point of orcs with crossbows. Called me old fashioned, but maybe something like a trebuchet or a static bolt thrower would fit these lads down to a T. Overall, the Kruelboyz are a fantastic looking army, and seeing these models fully painted on any tabletop will turn heads and catch eyes. And I'm not just saying that because of the pointy weapons that they wield. Full of character with endless possibilities of paint schemes, a Kruelboyz army are not just great for veterans of the game to start collecting, but great for beginners to pick up, play and paint. That brings us to the end of rating these slimy swamp dwelling Oryx. What do you think of these kits and how would you rate them? Let me know in the comments section, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more uploads and painting tutorials on all things hobby related. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and leave a comment for more unboxings and painting tutorials. Take care, and we'll see you next time.